Anthony Albanese is visiting Western Australia's flood-ravaged Kimberley region. The Prime Minister's short trip comes as Fitzroy Valley communities brace for waterways to peak. They are already overflowing.
I lived on Lot 20 for 40 years and you know, lived through many of the floods that came through, you know, the 2011 and 12 flood, 2002, but this one was just, to me it looked like it was an angry river, angry flood, you know, where the way it came and how it turned, it was a very, and it was frightening, very frightening.
Almost 300 people have now been evacuated.
A 1 in 100 year flood event. So bad, Fitzroy Crossing is now completely cut off. The only way in, not by road, but air.
Record major flooding is already occurring at Fitzroy Crossing and reached 15.3 metres at midday today.
To be able to see how much water there actually was on the ground, yeah, and the amount of devastation there was from the air was extremely emotional for the community of not only Fitzroy Crossing but also the Fitzroy Valley. There was a lot of panic associated with people not knowing how high the water would rise.
Roads and the Fitzroy Crossing Bridge have been smashed. In other areas of the Kimberley, water is still rising. At the moment, parts of the Fitzroy River are 50 kilometres wide.
Well, the flood came up to my house. We've got 13 steps, and it came up to the 10th step. There's a lot of structural damage, and we lost a lot of, you know, my car, personal stuff, and quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the impact on country, I think, is quite visible. We've seen massive changes to the landscape, like so quickly over, you know, the course of one flood or one wet season. You know, there's been some significant areas that people often go to, their traditional lands, you know, of some families or some groups where, you know, like this is their go-to place where they grew up and they're growing their kids up on, and those places have been completely wiped out, you know. So yeah, I felt it for, you know, the community, my extended family. Yeah, it was very hard to witness. Yeah.
It's the largest natural disaster that there's been in WA. It's the largest flood recorded in WA. It's of a scale that took out the national highway, had catastrophic impacts to the Fitzroy River Bridge. This impacted over 11 communities, flooded over nearly 200 homes and displaced 1,500 people. For those early days, there was over 200 aeroplane and helicopter movements in and out of Fitzroy on any given day. We had Defence air traffic controllers coordinated the Fitzroy airstrip. It was just amazing in terms of the presence in Fitzroy. And the community very quickly started talking about what do they need to lead their own recovery. And the conversation very quickly turned to how do you have a community-led recovery that brings together 6 native title groups, community and business, to help bring that dynamic of people together to lead their own recovery journeys.
There were 2 community meetings organised at the Oval, and it was 5 language groups coming to that one meeting. Each of the 5 language groups, they nominated who their 2 working group members would be, and that was the forming of the working group. The benefit of having a working group that has been nominated by the different language groups is that you've got confidence that you've got the right people in the room to be able to provide direction and guidance to the flood recovery.
There's been lots of announcements over the last couple of months. Nearly all of those announcements and those elements of those programs has come from that group. An example is when we rolled out the Premier's payments, and those Premier's payments were a direct request of that group to say there was a lot of people that had lost everything and they needed that initial support of cash to be able to buy clothes, whatever it might be to get back up and going. So we had to go to that group and say, what would work best for the community, and that group came up with an amount, way they'd like it administered, and how they would like that. We can take that back, in this case, to the to government, and then within a week that then gets implemented. So I think that government has actually really listened to that group and wanted that group because they wanted to know, how do we lead this from a really community bottom-up approach to recovery.
I'm sitting on there representing my prescribed body corporate, which is all the desert people, because I'm a Walmajeri person, to ensure that whatever they feedback they're giving me, I take to the group, and making things work to the way we want Fitzroy to look like into the future. So there's lots and lots of work to be done, and I guess sitting at that level, just hopefully that all the different departments listen to the people, to the people in the valley, not just the group that I represent, but everybody here, who has been impacted by the flood. So I guess it's really talking about and making sure that we are building a better future for Fitzroy.
I think the key to the success of the group it has to do with a lot of the individuals that make up the group. We got some strong people, some strong minds with strong voices that agree with each other. And I think this group has proven to be quite successful. And we have had our challenges where we would like to have some things done a bit quicker, but there's always going to be challenges, hurdles and hiccups that's out of our control, but that's not stopping us from doing what we're doing. But we're going to keep pushing, we're going to keep trying, to make the other people in the community happy.
I think we've created a best practice model here, that we all need to sit at the table and saying, okay, how can we move forward? A disaster happened here, so how can we recover from this disaster, and building the resilience among our people here in Fitzroy, and we reside in this community.
We're proving that it can be done. Local people can have ideas and input, and we're making sure that everything that we have discussed is followed through.
To the river we go.
This group is actually defining what does Build Back Better look like, and if the foundations of those 6 PBCs plus the community plus the business sector, if that can remain a legacy from this recovery that then forms a future leadership group for Fitzroy Crossing, what a great outcome.
It's clear that the establishment of the working group is groundbreaking and it's unprecedented, and the successes, like in the first 6 months of its establishment, have been material. And when you think that there's another 2 years of recovery work to go, it's a case of thinking that if those successes continue, that Fitzroy Crossing, Fitzroy Valley will be a much better place to live.
To the river we go. Leave our worries on the shore and drift away. On the river we know. Sometimes the perfect words are left unsaid. You could change your mind when you're intertwined with the water and the waves.